Alright, welcome to Looplearnings, and this is video number 25, and we are working on Microsoft Access and we are creating POS system. We have recorded 24 videos. If you haven't watched those, I have mentioned the link for the playlist in the description, so just make sure that you watch those videos so you can understand what we are trying to build. Now, before I go ahead and proceed and talk about what we are going to do today, I would like to ask you if you can subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you get notification whenever I upload a new video. And also I have a website, looplearnings.com. If you will go there, you have some free courses, access to free courses, so sign up today, because I'm thinking to upload this entire series of Microsoft Access on my website as a course as well. So if you wish to do so, it's free of cost at the moment, so you don't have to pay anything. You can go ahead and sign up to the website and sign up to some of these courses. Just check it out, and definitely some of the courses will come in the future as well. Okay, now let's go back to Microsoft Access and let's talk about what we are going to do today. Well, I'm going to demonstrate a couple of things here. In previous video, if you remember, and if you have watched, if you haven't watched, please do watch that video because it's a continuation of that video. And if you remember, we did record set. So basically we did the VBA coding to add record to the order automatically, and by default we kept the quantity 1. So whenever a new record is added, by default the quantity will be 1. Now today we are going to work with the scenario. For example, if the quantity needs to be changed, so for example this line item milk, the quantity needs to be changed from 1 to 2, so the user should click here and can change the quantity from 1 to 2. What if the quantity needs to be reduced, right? In this case it was increase 1 item. In this case, let's say another scenario that a user wants to reduce the quantity from 2 to 1 because customer doesn't want 2 pieces to buy. So we are going to work on those scenarios and we are going to use VBA. So let's get right into it, and basically we are going to do VBA coding behind this little form today, and we will try to wrap up this order form today in today's video. Alright, so I'll right click here, go to design view. Let's go to design view of order form as well, because we have to refer to it when we are doing VBA. And the first thing I would like to do is do the coding behind save button. Now save button, the purpose of save button is whatever changes happen in this field, do the changes, save it and update the database at the same time. So that's why we want to do the save button. Now the one logic we want to build is if this order is already invoiced, we don't want anything to be saved, right? We just want to do nothing. So we'll give the instruction to this save button. Hey, if this main order is already invoiced and somebody clicks here, opens and see and wants to change, well, first of all they will not be able to change the quantity, so we'll do that coding as well. But we will make sure that the save button also, if somebody clicks on save button, nothing happens. So that we will do it. So let's go ahead, first put that logic in and then I will explain further. Okay, so save button, and we will go to the property sheet, event tab, ... on click event we are going to build. And the first thing first I would like to do is the error handling code. If you have been watching my video, that's what I do. So on error resume next. Okay, so within this code block we will write some line of codes. So we'll say if forms order f dot form dot status dot value is equal to invoiced then. So basically with this line of code, what we are referring to, we are referring to our main form. So we are checking whether the status is invoiced or not. If it is invoiced, then we will do nothing. So that's the instruction we will give. So simply we will say do nothing if the order is invoiced. Straightforward. And that's the only logic I want to build. Well, starter logic I want to build for this form. Now let's talk about different scenarios. So if user will click and open this form, user can either do nothing, basically just keep the same quantity and just save the data, or just close the form. That's it. That's one scenario. Second scenario is user can reduce the quantity from the actual quantity which was added. User can do that. Third scenario is that the user can increase the quantity. So these are the three scenarios, and we want to check for each kind of scenario, and we want to write some line of codes. And we also want to build automation in the pricing department. So here, so whenever there is a change, for example, the quantity is reduced, quantity is increased, whenever there is a change, we want to make sure that this pricing information is also updated accordingly. So that's what we are going to build now. So let's go ahead and go through it one by one. So first we will go with the scenario if the quantity remain unchanged, right? There is no change and user haven't done anything with that. So we'll go here and we'll type else, and we'll say if me.qty.value is equal to forms order F, that's the form name we are referring to. So basically we are going to check, we are going to compare the quantity in this field of the add line item and in this field of the subform. Okay, so we are going to compare and we're going to check whether there is a change or not. Okay, so that's what we will do, and that's why I'm referring to this. So forms order F, this is the main form, and then we have a subform, and then which field we are targeting, quantity. So that's the field name. Okay, then so basically this is what we are doing. So we are doing the comparison if the quantity is exactly same, which means if the quantity remain unchanged, then do what? Well, technically do nothing, but we will say do cmd.save, and then we will remember I was saying that the other aspect I want to do is, or bring the automation to update the pricing information. Remember that I was just saying about it. So how do we do this? Well, we are going to open the query. So from where we are getting the invoices. And again, if you haven't watched the video number 24, I would strongly recommend you to watch that. Otherwise you will not be able to understand what I'm explaining. Those who have watched, they will understand what I'm talking about here. So if you remember, in previous video we have created this query, order total queue. So this query holds the updated pricing information for each order that will be created. Okay, so if you remember, this is what we did. So we want to open this query in the background. We want to refresh the information in this query, and we want to close this form. So that's what we want to do. And the reason we want to refresh the query because if there is any change, then that change should be reflected automatically on the order as well. So that's why we want to open the query first, and then we want to close it immediately after refreshing it. So what we will do, cmd dot open query. Okay, So now it will ask which query do you want to open. So we want to open order total queue. All right, so that's the query we want to open. What should be done after the query is open? Well, we just want to do cmd dot requery. We just want to requery. We just want to refresh the information just in case if there is any change detected while you are working on it. Remember, it can be multi-user platform, so even though you haven't done any change, maybe somebody else will do the change. So in any case, we want to fetch the updated information from this query. So every time you do something, it's a good idea to requery the information and fetch the latest information. And then after requery is done, we simply want to just close this query, right? So what we'll do cmd dot close. Okay, and it is asking what do you want to close. So we will say query, and it is asking which query. We will give the name of the query. Okay, so it is like a blink of an eye. You wouldn't even notice. Actually, this will happen in the background. So it will quickly open it, it will requery the information, it will close it immediately. Simple as that. Then we want to give a beep sound, so user would know that something has happened, something has occurred and taken place while I clicked on this button. And then after that, we want to close this form immediately. So do cmd dot close. Now it is asking what do you want to close, and I'm saying I want to close the form, and now it is asking which form. So I'll simply say me.name, which means whatever the active form. So this will be the active form. It will close down that form. So this, we have done the coding to check if the quantity remains same, if there is no change detected. And another good practice of VBA coding or any programming language you are doing the coding, it's good practice to type in some notes for your reference. So for example, here I will type to check the change if the quantity remains unchanged. Okay, right, then this is the code. Right, now what is the benefit of having these little notes is because if for example you come back after 2 months, 3 months or a year, trust me, you will forget if you haven't recorded the notes, and you will struggle a little bit. You will take a little bit time to understand why you have written that code. So it's a good idea to write some notes and by yourself if you are coming back and you want to modify, or if your colleague wants to modify, they would know that why you have written that code block. So it's a good idea to do that. Now let's go ahead and repeat the same practice with, now this scenario was if it remains unchanged. The second scenario is if the quantity is reduced. So basically there was 2 quantity initially, but user has reduced the quantity from 2 to 1. Okay, in that case also we want to perform the kind of similar action. So what I'm going to do, just to speed up, I'm going to copy it. Sorry for that, you can type it in if you're learning. And I'm just going to change the operator. So is equal, instead of is equal to, I will change to less than sign. Okay, because that's what we are checking, right? And we will change to else if also, because if condition is, if block is already there. So else if me dot quantity is less than whatever the initial quantity was in the order, then simply do nothing, kind of nothing, but just change the information and refresh the query, and then close the query, and then close the form as well. And at same time it will refresh all the records. Okay, now we have dealt with if the quantity is reduced. Okay, Okay, then this code block you will type. Now comes the important one. What if the quantity is increased? So for example, there was one quantity initially added by default and customer wants two pieces. So user would open this form and change it from 1 to 2. In that case, it's very important to check whether we have sufficient stock or not. So that we are going to check by using this query. Again, if you haven't watched previous video, that's why I'm recommending you. We built inventory management in video number 21, 22, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. These are the important videos for the order form. So make sure that you watch those videos. Okay. So we are going to check our inventory, right? In order to increase the quantity, we want to check whether we have sufficient stock or not. If we don't have sufficient stock, for example, if this query says the yogurt isn't available, so available quantity is 0, and if user is opening the yogurt data record set and user is going to change the quantity from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, then it should throw an error. It should say, hey, I can't change it because according to the inventory management, there is no stock available for the yogurt. So that's the functionality we want to build. These are all business logics we are talking about here. And when you are building this kind of application, you have to build this kind of business logics in just to make sure that everything goes smoothly and to avoid any human error. So how do we do that? Well, we will use and we will achieve this result by using the record sets. Okay, let's go ahead and do that, and we'll go back to our code block, a VBA editor, and this time we will say if the quantity is increased. Okay, now instead of less than sign, we will change it to greater than sign. Okay, then what should be done? If the quantity is increased than the actual quantity, then what should be done? Well, in that case, first of all, we need to declare some variable. We need to write few line of codes to get to this record sets. Okay, all right, so let's do that. So we'll go on right on the top and we'll say Tim QTY as a record set. Okay, so we'll declare the variable. Now we have to set that QTY. What does QTY is equal to? So we'll say set QTY equal to current DB dot open a record set. So we are basically opening the record set. Which record set? We are opening this record set called ATS. Okay, ATS, comma, and it is asking us, hey, okay, I have opened it. Now what do you want me to do? Access is asking us. Now we are saying that you don't need to do anything, just take a snapshot and open it in read-only mode. We are not going to change anything, we just want to read the information. So we'll say db open snapshot, okay, comma, db read only. All right, so we are opening the record set, we are taking the screenshot, that is it. And now it is asking us, okay, I have opened it, I have taken the screenshot, now what next? The Microsoft Access is shouting at us. So we need to tell, hey, basically we want to check this column and we want to check that whether a particular certain product have a available quantity or not. Okay, and if it doesn't have a quantity, then throw an error. That's what we are going to do. So we will type a code here, a qty dot find first. Okay, so product ID equal to ampersand me dot product ID dot value ampersand and here we go. So with this line of code, what we are doing, basically we are checking, we are asking access. Okay, now that you have opened this record set, you have taken the screenshot or snapshot, what we want you to do is check this product ID, okay, and match it with this record set here, this product ID. And if you happen to have the match, then you check the quantity. Okay, that's the next code of line we are going to, line of code, not code of line of code we are going to write. So with this code, we have just verified whether whatever product we have in here has some sort of records in our record set. Okay, that's what we did. Now the next thing is we want to check if the quantity is 0, right? That's the next thing. So we have detected the product ID, which is 2 yogurt, but we haven't wrote a code yet to check if the quantity is 0 or greater than 0. So that we will do down here. So we'll say if qty exclamation mark available, we are checking this column, right? Available is equal to 0, then, so basically we are saying that if the record set, in the record set available column has quantity 0, then what should be done? Well, first of all, immediately we want to do the undo the changes that were done. So for example, if the user have changed the quantity from 2 to 3, we want to undo that automatically. We want to bring that to the original to 2. Okay, so that we will do, and simply we will say me.undo. So it will undo all the changes that were done, because we don't have enough stock available to increase the quantity in that particular order. So after me.undo, what do we need to do? Well, we need to save the information. Okay, we need to open the query, we need to re-query it, we need to do all this fancy stuff. Okay, remember that we did that in previous code blocks as well. So I will just copy and paste exactly the same thing. Okay, here we have code block if, so we have to be very careful here because we have to close that code block. So if the quantity is 0, then check, then throw this error. Oh, we haven't written the message box actually, so we have to write a message box also. So we'll say we'll bring this beep at the top, and we'll say message box, the quantity of the selected line item is insufficient, and therefore it cannot be increased. Okay, and we'll simply say VB critical and information. All right, the stock, available stock, that's what we should say, of the selected line item is insufficient, and therefore it cannot be increased. Therefore the quantity cannot be increased. Well, you can write it, you can modify according to your requirements, according to your needs, and that is it. Okay, now if the quantity is 0, then go ahead and throw this error box, error message. What if there is quantity available? Then what it should do? Well, then simply just go ahead, save the information, whatever change was done, just save it and re-query this. Okay, re-query this, and if I think we have 3, we have to type in 3 times because there are 3 code blocks. So one if code block, the second one, and the third one. So 3 times end if statements has to be written. Okay, so we just want to save the information. We want to requery the order total, and we want to close this form. That is it. Debug it, no error. So just to summarize this, what we did first, we checked if the order is invoiced, then do nothing, absolutely nothing. Second, we checked if the user just opened it, haven't done any change. So we have written this code block to make sure that the data is requery, the fresh information is fetched from the query, and it is replicated on the form. And then we have checked if the quantity is reduced. Then again, we don't have to check the inventory in that case, because in this case the quantity is being reduced, not increased. In case of increase, we are going to check the stock levels, and to check the stock levels we have to refer to our inventory management query, and that we did by using the record sets. Okay, and this is the code block to check. And if the quantity is 0, then throw this message box and say, hey, we can't do anything. We just simply will close, undo whatever changes were done. We'll just simply close this form. If this is not the case, if this is false, right, if the available quantity is more than 0, greater than 0, then simply do the changes, save it, requery the order total query, and fetch the fresh information and close the form. That is it. I hope that you have understood. We haven't done yet. We have to do some more coding. So this, we have done the coding for 3 scenarios. So basically that part is done for the save button. Now remember, I was saying that whenever this form is, whenever we click here, we have done the coding, and according to that code block, the moment we click on save button, the necessary changes will be checked and done, and the form will be closed. When the form is closing, we want to check the pricing information here, and we want to fetch the latest pricing information, and we want to replicate it on our order. So that's the code block we need to write now. We need to write right now. Okay, so we'll do that on the form itself. So we'll select the form itself, and we'll go to the property sheet, and on close event this time we will use. So code builder, again we will use the error handling. Make sure you do that, it's very important. So on error, resume next. Okay, in here we will say, we will declare the variable, because again we are going to check from the query, and therefore we are going to use the record sets. So we'll say dim qty, rsp as a record set. So this time we are checking the price, and then we are saying set rsp is equal to current db dot open record set. Which record set? We want to check the order total Q, that's the record set, and we want to open as a snapshot, db snapshot only, and db open snapshot, okay, comma db read only. Okay, so we are just reading the information, taking a snapshot. Then what we are looking at, we are going to search for the order number in this query. We are going to check if the this order number, our order number, matches with the order number in this record set or not. And to do that, we will say rsp dot find first. So what do we want to find? We want to find the order number. So order num equal to ampersand forms exclamation mark order f dot form dot order num. Okay, so that's what we're going to check. So if the order number is, if there is no match for the order number, then the pricing information should be 0. So we'll say if RSP exclamation mark RSP if RSP dot no match is equal to true, then we want to just simply say the order total is 0, because we haven't found that record in here yet, but that is very unlikely. At this stage the record is already created, so pricing information will definitely exist in this record set. So but for the sake of writing code properly, we will write that. So we'll say forms exclamation mark order f dot form dot order total is equal to RSP exclamation mark we will check what is net total. So basically what we did here, if there is no order number exist in this record set, as I said, this is very highly unlikely, because at this stage the pricing is already created, so this record set or this query must have your record already, so it's very highly unlikely. So if that's the case, if no match, then simply we put the price here 0, because we haven't found any record in this query. So that's what we did with this code. Else, okay, as I said, it is highly unlikely, so else basically we'll copy and paste here. We'll put 0 price first, because if there is no match, then we'll put 0 here. Okay, order total, because we haven't found any record in the record set. But otherwise we will check whatever value in the net total query and we'll fetch that information and we will replicate it here. So that's why after else we will write this line of code and just simply requery the form. So forms, or even no need to do requery, just close it with endif. Debug it. Well, we have written our code, whatever I wanted to do. Let's test it out if it works or not. All right, this is the most crucial stage. I always find it very difficult stage, because who knows whether the code will work or not. All right, so let's open it. So remember 3 scenarios we have added. First, if there is no change, let's test it out. So at the moment we have opened yogurt, basically this particular line, yogurt, quantity is 2. We will not change anything. Okay, let's close it out. So it hasn't increased, it hasn't decreased, nothing is changed, basically just refreshed it. Now the second logic we built is if the quantity is reduced, okay, and if our code block is correct, so I will change it to from 2 to 1, and if our code block is correct, then this pricing information should also be updated automatically. So let's change it to 1. Okay, now I will save it. There you go, it is working. So the quantity is reduced here, the price is also reduced from 365 to now 335. Okay, because we have changed the quantity. Let's increase the quantity. So if I will change back to 2 quantity, right, and I will save it. There you go, we have 363, the 2 quantities changed. Now one thing you notice, we haven't had the beep sound, but we will, that's just one tiny code, we can write it down later. The important thing is that the logics that we built in are working. Now if I will increase one more item here, so let's go ahead and open it. Okay, So at the moment is 2. Let's change it to 3. Okay, now let's click on save. So what information we have got? The available stock of the selected line item is insufficient, and therefore quantity cannot be increased. If you notice, this quantity I have typed in 3, but the moment it checks the logics, it checks the quantity, it resets automatically back to the actual quantity whatever it was added by default earlier, and then it brings back to the same pricing information. So basically our code block is working. In short, that's what I wanted to say. All right, so these business logics are extremely important, and we need to build these logics at any cost, because if we don't, then your application will be seen as a dummy application, because there are no business logics. If there are, they are not working properly, and that's, for your customers it wouldn't be good, or for yourself it wouldn't be good. Because anything related to financial records, make sure that you check all the business logics and think of all the business logics and implement those logics in your application. Okay, I thought we would be finishing wrapping up the order form in this video, but it doesn't look like, because we have a few more things that I want to check. I want to make sure that everything is correct, and let's wrap it out. Let's wrap up the order form in the next video. How about that? So anyway, I hope that you have learned something. Please do support me by subscribing to this channel and hitting the bell icon. And also, if you have liked this video, if you like whatever you have seen, please make sure that you give a thumbs up, because this is how YouTube will know that this video is useful. And thank you very much for the support. I appreciate it, and let's see in the next video. And till then, take care. Bye bye.